Thanks very much to Nola and Katrina, who are sharing the role in co-chairing the Parliamentary Friends, to my colleague Catherine King, to Jane and to Liz from Palliative Care Australia, and to everybody associated with Palliative Care Australia and its great work in caring for those who are at their most vulnerable, who in many cases are fearful, and understandably so, who may be going through tremendous periods of pain, and whether it's physical pain or emotional distress, and of course supporting the families as well. You play an immensely important role, and there are parliamentary colleagues from both sides that I look around and see, and of course the opposition shadow for mental health, Julie Collins. We've got my great friend and colleague Ken Wyatt, and so many others from all different sides of Parliament. Everybody comes to this topic with their own stories. For me, I know my own father faced his passing, and he was a good age. You know, Dad was 85, nearly 86, when his final days were coming, and he was living in an aged care home. He'd only been there for 6 months, but he'd had wonderful care, and he'd had the support of palliative care nurses, and Palliative Care Australia was involved in that, and I want to acknowledge that. And as things declined, in his case it was just general age and body failure. I remember he was in hospital, in Frankston Hospital, before going into the palliative care services of Peninsula Health. And we were called in because I thought there was going to be a little operation. And there were all of the doctors and the nurses gathered around, and he said, you know, they asked him whether he would take the particular treatment, the particular operation, and the alternative was not to do that, and if that were the case, he would have about 5 days. And I was expecting that he was going to head down the path of the operation, and he just quietly put up his hand, and he said he'd had a good run. And I realised then all the doctors and nurses were there for me, not for him, and that this was palliative care helping him, but also helping the family. And that's the journey that each of us are on. It's the reality that 160,000 of us will lose our battle, or will reach the end of our journey in this particular year and in every year. And so that is the human condition and the human story. But the real truth of humanity at its best is the way we care for each other. And that's what I want to acknowledge today with Palliative Care Australia and your work and your support. And each family has their own tale. And one of my great mentors on the Mornington Peninsula has been Carmel Whelan Senior. She was one of the founders who helped bring hospice care to the Mornington Peninsula about 45 years ago. And just growing up, I saw a wonderful carer who is representative of all of the carers in this room and more broadly across Australia. And I really saw the definition of genuine altruism and deep compassion at its most human and in its best form. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is one of those areas where there's a real bipartisan support, and I see the work that Catherine and Julie and Katrina do on the opposition side, and Nola and Ken, and the way they work along with others on our side. On that basis, I was really delighted that we were able to support palliative care in Tasmania with $3 million in the recent budget, and to support palliative care around Australia with an additional $8 million. It's not the money, that simply, Jane, allows you to carry on and to do your work. That's our job, allowing you to do your work. And that's really a universal and a bipartisan commitment from all of us. As part of this, the specific point today in Palliative Care Week is to acknowledge the carers, but also to, in particular, launch the online resources. You know, these are difficult conversations, and Nola's right, they can't begin too soon. And there is always a challenge in confronting the hurdles, and whether it's for the family members or for the person who is facing the end of their life, it's a difficult conversation, and some people are blessed and able to do that. I know my father was in a point where he was ready, and he had great equanimity. He taught his sons how to die. But others are not necessarily in that place because of the illness, because of their view of life, because it's all coming too soon. They had more things to do. And so the Dying to Talk resources are something that can help each and every one of us on our journey with our families and in our own time. So I am really honoured to officially launch Palliative Care Australia's new resources online, as well as in the face-to-face world, the real world that we all inhabit, that will assist so many families in their journey. And so I say, Jane, thank you for what you do, and the Dying to Talk resources are officially launched. Thank you.